Alright, so since you asked how I made the walls in here, there's a couple ways you can go about this, but the way I went about it is these walls here are all these are wall panels. So they are these things here, um, which you can buy from Homebast, I believe her name is, over in the Chrysalis. Um, but for these sections here in particular, they use the Zerman table large, which are these things, and then it also utilizes the wide green artisan pot. You can get the Zerman table large from Homebest, but for these ones, uses these pots that you get. I forget what her name is, like Artheus or something like that, over in Dormer Zone, the vendor over there. She will sell these, but that's where you get these from here. And then for the gold trim, using the Intrati Wall Sonic, which is used right here. That's what they look like. Now, in order to get them together, you do have to use a little bit of bypassing. And what I mean by that is, let me pull out a table real quick. I'll show you. Um, So if we just pull out this little table here and we set it on the ground, as you can see, that's as far down as it can go. Because its anchor point is technically um, right there at the bottom. So unless you bypass it, bypass whatever object or barrier that is there, that's as low as it will go. So in order to do that, if you look over here on the right side of the screen for the constrained movement, if you want to know how to get to this menu, you just activate the advanced and then you look at the object. For me, it's R. You want to make sure that down there where it says transform, you want to be on local. And then you want to, because right now, sometimes it will let you to go through, sometimes it won't, right off the bat. What I found to be a little bit easiest, you just rotate it 45 degrees. Sometimes you do need to go like that, just to get a little bit more of an angle on it. But as you can see here, I have my Z right there, and then my F, my Y coordinate, are both pointing down towards the floor, which is what I want to currently clip it through. So you just kind of work those two a little bit. Sometimes it just stops. If it ever just stops like that, that's when you can rotate it again. And now my R, which is my X, is now facing that way, so we can utilize that one too. And eventually it just kind of bypasses it, and you can just go back through the floor or whatever object you're going through. And then now that is technically bypassed. The only downside is there is a weird little barrier underneath the floor to where if anything goes too far underneath it, it won't let you actually place it down there. But that's how you bypass the barriers right there. Yeah, right there. I see I was already too low. It's like, oh, you can't place. You don't have enough remaining capacity, which it's weird when it does that. So in order to get these set up like that, I do have a couple of the extra decorations. I can show you how to do that. So, like I said, you want to have one of these pots. So we're going to rotate it around and bring it up this way. And then from here, I did put a slight angle onto them. So what I ended up doing was, instead of having the angle snapping at 45, I set it to about 5 degrees and I put it at a 10-degree tilt. So that's about the same that it was right there. Let's go ahead and move it over here so it's out of the way of all that other stuff. Now, for the movement itself, when it's like this, when it's angled all weird, I do find it easier to use the local movement. But it all depends on your preference, honestly. And then from here, what I ended up doing was using the tables that you get from the Chrysalis. and made them as big as possible. And then we need to rotate this guy around. Now, as you can see right here, it's currently hitting the pot, so it's not letting it go through. So let's go ahead. We're going to fix the angle on it because we got to get it to match the angle that's on here. So we're going to rotate it 10 degrees. And then we need to get it to be inside of the pot, so we need to push this inside of there. So what we need to do from here is just rotate it out. And then looks like we need to be on local. So we want to use our F, which is going to be this one, and our X, so our Y and our Z. So we just kind of bring it in. It already let us kind of bypass it, which is nice. Just need to keep going just a little bit more. See if we can't work it without having to. Just takes a little bit of playing with. But once you finally get it into place, it is kind of nice. So the other downside is you want to be about that far away from this edge here. You want those edges to be about that distance, maybe a little bit further. But as you see right here, it kind of shows on that side. So a way to kind of fix that and get around that is you rotate it again. And I'm currently rotating on the red axis. So we're going to rotate it inward this way. And then we're going to bring it back out. Probably didn't need to go to about 10 degrees. 5 is probably enough. It's about right there. We can back it up a little bit more. We want those to be as flush as possible. So once you get that in place, which is right about right in there, you can go ahead and snap it in. And then you get your Entrati lights, which I didn't actually say where you got those from, but you can get the Entrati light fixtures. Wait, where are they? Light. The Entrati wall sonic. These things, you can get them from Bird 3 over in the Sanctum Anatomica. But so the way this works is your anchor point is technically on this bottom side here, but it's only on that spot right there. So you could technically grab it and like shove it in about that far. But the spot we want to use is this entire backside here. So what we want to do is we want to get it rotated. Let's go to 45, make it faster. So now that it's at 45, what we want to do here, actually, we're gonna, it'd be kind of weird, so we're gonna, I don't want it to be sitting too far into the floor when I do start putting it on there otherwise, because this does stick a little bit higher. So now we need to get this angle to match this one. If you remember, it was 10 degrees. So get to it, change our angle snapping, get to about 10 degrees, and then we can go ahead and move it over there. Now, another thing I did here, as you see, it's kind of sticking out over here. So a way you can fix that is you just kind of rotate it inward. 10 degrees is generally enough. And then we can go ahead and just kind of adjust it a little bit to get it to where we want it exactly. And then you just snap it right in place. But that is how I ended up going with those. Now, for these other things that I have inside of them, so this one is the Entrati temporal cartograph, which again you get from Bird 3. He'll sell them as well. This thing down here is a little pot. I'm using the face of it. You get this from the vendor over in the Dormer Zone. but it is the short artesian barrel. So I used that kind of little bypass the barrier to shove those in there, and I just kind of set them at the angle that they're sitting at. But that's how I got those in. And then these, you can buy these from the Chrysalith, um, the Zeramin Flush Mount Light. But yeah, that's how I went through and built the walls. Hopefully that helps out, and best of luck out there.